The stars were quiet as they always were. Space stretched on, dark and cold with only the distant light of suns to break the black. On the edge of known space, a small Zevran scout ship drifted silently through the void. Its name was VSR, Kalen, and it had been sent by the Galactic Empire to watch a strange signal coming from a forgotten part of the sky. Captain Lena Hayes sat in her chair, arms crossed. She was tired. They had been out here for weeks chasing what most thought was just static. The system they were watching was old, empty. No planets worth mining, no stars worth colonizing. Just dust and rock. "Nothing again," said Ensign Mark Ellis, her science officer. He looked up from his screen. "Same signal, weak, repeating." Hayes nodded. "Keep watching. If it's nothing, we go home tomorrow." But then the sensors beeped, loud and sudden. "Wait," Mark said, eyes wide. Something changed. They all leaned forward. The signal wasn't just noise anymore. Something was sending it. And worse, there was movement. "New readings," called the tactical officer. "Massive energy spike. Warp signature forming." Everyone froze. No one knew who else could be this far out. Pirates? Rebels? Not this deep. Then space twisted. Like water being torn apart, the fabric of reality bent and cracked open. From it came something huge. Not just one ship. Many. Dozens. Hundreds. That can't be right," Mark whispered. The screens filled with images. Strange ships, fast and sharp. Unlike anything in the Empire's records, they moved with purpose like wolves finding prey. No transponder codes. No comms. "Unknown design," Tactical said, voice shaking. "They're locking weapons." "What?" Hayes stood. "Shields up. Prepare evasive." Before she could finish, the first shot fired. It was bright, fast and gone before sound could catch up. One of the scout drones exploded. Another shot. Another drone gone. "Full reverse. Get us out of here now," Hayes shouted. The Kalen turned hard, engines burning. But the enemy ships didn't chase. They ignored them. They had bigger targets. Back on the main scanner, the massive human fleet began to spread out, scanning everything. They weren't attacking. Yet. Hayes stared at the screen, heart pounding. "Send a full report back to command," she said quietly. "We've found something, and I don't think they know. We're even here." The human fleet moved like it had done this 1,000 times. No flashing lights, no loud messages, just silent ships sliding through space like hunters in the dark. On Earth, Admiral Daniel Reeves stood in the war room. Tall, calm, and used to giving orders that got followed. He looked at the screen showing the Zevran scout ship running away. "They saw us," said Commander Lisa Wu beside him. Reeves nodded. "Then they'll tell their people." He turned to the others in the room. "We don't wait for them to come to us, we move first." Back at the edge of Sol space, the humans were ready. The USS Lincoln, a heavy destroyer, led the way. It was fast, strong, and built not for show, but for war. The Zevran scout sent its message home, but it was already too late. 3 more Zevran ships arrived, thinking they were investigating a signal. They dropped out of warp expecting silence. Instead, they found death. "Enemy ships detected," said a voice on the Lincoln. "Engage," Reeves said simply. The order hit every ship in the human fleet. Lights blinked, systems locked on targets, and then fire. Lasers flashed, missiles screamed, and explosions lit up the black. One Zevran ship tried to raise shields. Too slow. A human missile struck its engine before it could move. Another Zevran ship turned to run. A human fighter cut it off, firing twin beams that tore right through armor. The third tried to fight back. Its weapons charged, aiming at the Lincoln. It never fired. A drone swarm hit it from behind. Small, fast, smart machines that chewed through hull plating like wolves tearing meat. In under a minute, all 3 Zevran ships were burning wrecks. Only one escape pod made it out. Back on Earth, the battle was already over. "Losses?" Reeves asked. "None," Lisa said. He didn't smile. He didn't need to. This was only the start. Across the stars, the Zevran Dominion received the broken, shaking report from the survivor. They didn't talk. They didn't warn us. They just attacked. Commanders in the Empire laughed at first. But then they saw the footage, and they stopped laughing. Because what they saw wasn't possible. Ships faster than anything they knew. Weapons that fired before the eye could follow. And a kind of calm, cold power that said one thing clearly. This was not a species to be messed with. The message from the escape pod reached the Zevran capital in pieces, scrambled and full of noise. But it carried one clear truth. Something new had arrived in the stars, and it was not afraid to fight. Grand Marshal Kyle Virek sat at the head of the war table, his face carved from stone. Around him, officers argued like children. Some called for peace. Others screamed for revenge. Only Captain Lena Hayes stayed quiet. She had seen the enemy. She had watched them destroy 3 ships in under a minute. And she knew this wasn't just another war waiting to happen. This was something else. Enough, Virek said, his voice cutting through the room like a blade. Silence fell. We do not yet understand what we are facing, he said. So we will learn. Orders were sent. Scientists were called. The broken parts of the destroyed Zevran ships were gathered and sent home for study. Back on her ship, VSR Kalen, Lena stared at the footage again. It played over and over on her screen. Human ships appearing out of nowhere, weapons firing faster than thought, explosions that came before sound. They didn't act like any army she'd ever seen. They didn't send messages or warnings. They didn't talk. They just moved. And they moved fast. Later that night, she sat alone in her quarters. Her hands shook as she wrote her report. They are not like us, she typed. They do not fear us. They do not respect our power. To them, we are not enemies. We are obstacles. Far away in the halls of the Zevran Science Corps, researchers tried to make sense of the strange wreckage. They found metal that should not exist, circuitry too small to be real, and code that changed itself like it was alive. One scientist whispered what everyone was thinking. These humans, they shouldn't be possible. Meanwhile, on Earth, Admiral Daniel Reeves read the latest reports from deep space. The Dominion was scared. He could feel it in their movements. He turned to Commander Lisa Wu. They've seen what we can do, he said. Now they'll try to figure us out. She nodded. And when they do? Reeves looked out the window toward the stars. They'll wish they hadn't. The Zevran Dominion did not take losses lightly. For thousands of years, they had ruled the stars without challenge. Now 3 ships were gone, destroyed by something they barely understood. Grand Marshal Kyle Virek called for a fleet. 50 warships, led by the mighty ZRS Ternax, would strike deep into the unknown human space. The message was clear. We do not fear you. But before the Dominion could move, humanity struck first. Across the stars, human ships blinked into existence like ghosts. Not just 1 or 2, many. They came out of warp near Dominion border worlds, fast and silent. The first attack hit the mining world of Varnus. A single human carrier dropped out of light speed and launched fighter drones that tore through orbital defenses in minutes. Dominion forces didn't even have time to call for help. Next was Drell Station, a key supply hub. Human commandos arrived inside a supply freighter. No warning, no demands, just quick, clean destruction. The station went dark before anyone realized what happened. On Earth, Admiral Daniel Reeves watched the reports come in with calm eyes. They expected us to wait, he said to Commander Lisa Wu. They don't know us yet. Back in Dominion space, panic started to spread. Ships vanished from radar, planets lost contact, and everywhere, the same message played on captured comms. Stay away from our systems, or this gets worse. Captain Lena Hayes stood on the bridge, a VSR Kalen, watching the reports flood in. This isn't war, she whispered. It's hunting. She looked at the footage of a human destroyer slicing through a Dominion patrol. No wasted shots, no mercy, just cold, perfect attacks. How are they doing this? asked her science officer. Hayes didn't answer. She already knew. The humans weren't fighting like an army. They were fighting like predators who had found new prey. Then came the biggest blow. A human fleet appeared inside Dominion core space, near the planet Nereus, where the Empire kept one of its largest fleets. No one saw them coming. The battle lasted 7 minutes. Human ships moved like lightning, striking hard and vanishing before the enemy could react. Missiles flew faster than thought. Fighters danced through fire like they could see the future. By the time the Dominion rallied, half their fleet was gone, and the humans didn't even stay to claim victory. They disappeared back into the dark, leaving only wreckage behind. In the war room of the Dominion, silence filled the air. Kyle Virek stared at the reports. "We underestimated them," he said. No one disagreed. For the first time in history, the Zevran Dominion wasn't the strongest power in the galaxy, and now, someone else was in charge. In the cold halls of the Dominion Science Corps, researchers worked without rest. The wreckage from the destroyed ships was spread across massive tables, glowing under bright lights. Broken metal, twisted wires, and strange weapons lay waiting to be understood, but nothing made sense. The scientists ran test after test. The material from human ships was stronger than anything in the galaxy. It didn't melt like normal metal. It didn't crack like known alloys. Some of it didn't even register on standard scanners. "This shouldn't exist," said Dr. Mira Solon, head of research. She looked at a small piece of human circuitry. "It's not just advanced, it's impossible." Elsewhere, linguists tried to break the human code. They listened to intercepted radio chatter from the battlefield. What they heard shocked them. Not battle cries, not orders. Laughter. "Did you see that explosion?" one voice said, almost cheerful. "Like fireworks," another replied, laughing. They were joking, during war. One linguist, Jarek Vin, sat alone in his office, watching the same short clip over and over. A human fighter pilot, mid-battle, sang along to music while tearing through enemy ships. Music, while fighting. He rubbed his face. "They don't act like soldiers. They don't talk like warriors. They fight like hunters who never learned fear." Back on Earth, Admiral Daniel Reeves read the latest reports from deep space. The Dominion was trying to understand them. He expected that. "They'll keep looking," he told Commander Lisa Wu. "And when they find something, they'll try to use it against us." She nodded. "Then let them look." Because what the Dominion didn't know, couldn't know, was that humans weren't just strong because of their tech. They were strong because of how they thought. Humans didn't follow rules in battle. They changed the game. If a weapon didn't work, they built a new one. If a plan failed, they made another. They fought like fire, wild, fast, and always moving. On VSR Kalen, Captain Lena Hayes stared at her screen again. She had seen enough. "These people," she whispered, "they don't just win fights." She closed her eyes. "They erase them." Across the stars, the Zevran Dominion searched for answers. But the truth was simple. They weren't facing a new enemy. They were facing something older than war itself. A species that had survived ice, fire, hunger, and time, and now ruled the sky. And they had only just begun. Nereus Station was one of the Dominion's strongest bases. Built into a moon, it floated near a red giant, protected by thick shields and 6 dreadnoughts. No enemy had ever come close. Until now. The human fleet arrived without warning. One moment, space was empty. The next, dozens of ships blinked into view like ghosts. They didn't send messages. They didn't ask for surrender. They just attacked. From deep inside the station, Captain Lena Hayes watched the alarms light up. "Enemy fleet detected," a voice said over the comms. "They're everywhere." She ran to the command deck. Ships filled the screen, sharp, fast, and firing before the eye could follow. Human drones led the charge. Small, smart machines that flew like swarms of insects. They hit the dreadnoughts first, slicing through armor and targeting engines. Missiles followed, fast and deadly. One by one, the Dominion warships fell. Outside, the sky burned with fire and light. Inside the human carrier USS Liberty, Major Elena Cruz checked her gear. Beside her, Lieutenant Jason Bell tightened his helmet. "Go in hot," she said. "No time for soft landings." Behind them, a squad of commandos stood ready, silent, focused, and armed for war. Their dropship launched, cutting through the battle like a knife. It dove past burning wreckage, dodging enemy fire, heading straight for the station. Back on Nereus, Lena Hayes saw it coming. "They're trying to board," she said. "Get me weapons." But the station's guns were slow. Too slow. The drop. Ship slammed into the docking bay at full speed. Explosions tore open the hull. Smoke filled the halls. And then they came. Humans in black armor, moving like shadows. They fought with cold precision, taking out guards before they could raise. The alarm, Elena led the way, gun raised. Jason covered the rear, watching every corner. "This is too easy," he muttered. He was right. The station wasn't empty. It was a trap. Alarms blared. Doors sealed shut. Automated turrets rose from the walls. Then the lights went out. "Darkness," voice came through the speakers. A Zevran officer. "You think you're hunters?" he said. "You're prey." Elena clicked her flashlight on. "Let them try," she said. Jason grinned under his helmet. Outside, the battle still raged. Inside, the real fight was just beginning, and the humans had never backed down from a fight. The war was not going well for the Zevran Dominion. Half a dozen worlds had fallen silent. Fleets were gone, bases destroyed. And worst of all, no one saw it coming. In the grand halls of the Dominion capital, the council met behind closed doors. The room was filled with voices, but only one question mattered. What do we do now? Grand Marshal Kale Virek stood at the head of the table. His face was hard, his eyes cold. He had called for war once. Now he wasn't so sure. "We cannot keep fighting them," said Minister Rallick, voice shaking. "We don't understand them. We can't match them." "Then we learn," Virek replied. "And we talk." It was the first time any leader of the Dominion had ever spoken those words about an enemy. Across the stars, Admiral Daniel Reeves watched the reports come in from deep space. The Dominion was pulling back, not running, just waiting. Thinking, he turned to Commander Lisa Wu. "They're done playing games," he said. "They want peace talks." Lisa raised an eyebrow. "You think they mean it?" Reeves didn't answer right away. He looked out the window toward the stars. "No," he finally said. "But I'll give them a chance to prove me wrong." The B. Talks were set on a neutral moon, far from any battlefields. No weapons, no ships, just two sides meeting face to face. The humans arrived first. A small team walked through the quiet halls of the meeting base. No armor, no guns. Just calm steps and steady eyes. Then came the Zevrans. Lena Hayes led their delegation. She had seen what humans could do. She knew how fast they moved, how little they feared death. She sat across from Reeves at a long table. Behind her were diplomats and thinkers. Across from her were soldiers. "This isn't surrender," she said first. Reeves nodded. Didn't think it was. He tapped a button on the table. A hologram lit up, showing every Dominion world under human watch. "We don't want your planets," he said. "We don't want your people. But if you come near ours again, this ends." Silence filled the room. One Zevran diplomat whispered, "You'd destroy us?" Reeves looked him in the eye. "Yes," he said, "and you'd know it was coming." For the first time in history, the Dominion faced something stronger than them, and for the first time, they weren't sure what to do next. Peace talks had begun, but not everyone wanted peace. In the shadows of the Dominion, a group called the Iron Creed was growing. They were made of soldiers, scientists, and high-ranking officers who believed the humans could not be trusted, and that the Dominion should never have asked for peace. "They are weak," said their leader, Commander Vex Ral. "They think they can walk into our space and leave with our silence. They will pay for that mistake." The Iron Creed moved fast. They stole ships, weapons, and data. And worse, They started attacking Dominion targets and blaming the humans. A diplomatic ship exploded near the moon where talks were held. A fuel station burned without warning. Messages were sent to Dominion leaders, all saying the same thing. The humans are lying. Captain Lena Hayes saw the reports and knew something was wrong. The attacks didn't match human style. No speed, no clean strikes, just chaos. She went to Grand Marshal Kale Virek. "This isn't them," she said. "It's someone inside our own ranks." Virek looked at her for a long time before speaking. "If you're right," he said, "then we have a bigger problem than war." Back on Earth, Admiral Daniel Reeves also saw the signs. Someone was trying to break the fragile peace. "Someone doesn't want this to work," said Commander Lisa Wu. Reeves nodded. "Then we find them." On the edge of Dominion space, Elena Cruz and Jason Bell were given a new mission. Intelligence pointed to a hidden base used by the attackers. Their job was simple: go in, find proof, and shut it down. Their team dropped onto a frozen moon under cover of night. The base was buried under ice, hard to reach, harder to leave. Inside, they found what they feared: human tech, stolen and changed. Weapons built to look like human design. Fake messages ready to be sent to Dominion leaders. Jason looked at Elena. "This was going to start another war," she nodded. "Not if we stop it now." They planted charges, grabbed the data, and fought their way out. Back on Earth, the truth was shown to both sides. The Iron Creed had tried to destroy peace, and now, both humans and Zevrans had a new enemy. One that lived in the dark and wanted blood. The peace was breaking. The Iron Creed had been exposed, but they didn't stop. If anything, they became more dangerous. They vanished into deep space, hiding in ruins and forgotten worlds, planning their final strike. And then Earth came under attack. A massive energy spike lit up the outer solar system. A hidden station, built inside an asteroid belt, powered up for the first time. It was armed with stolen Dominion tech, and something worse: a superweapon. It was designed to end everything. A single shot could tear through Earth's atmosphere, boiling oceans and melting cities in seconds. Admiral Daniel Reeves saw the reports come in fast. "They've built something big," said Commander Lisa Wu, "and it's pointing straight at us." Reeves didn't hesitate. "All ships prepare for war." But even he knew this wasn't a battle they could win with guns. The weapon was too far out, too well protected. Any fleet that got close would be torn apart. There was only one way in, and only one ship could make it: Project Eclipse. It was a secret human experiment. A ship built to go where no other could. Fast, quiet, and powered by unstable dark matter. But it was untested, dangerous. Jason Bell volunteered to lead the mission. "You don't have to do this," Elena Cruz told him. He looked at her and smiled. "I do," he said. The Eclipse launched under cover of night. It moved like a ghost, slipping past enemy patrols and cloaked defenses. Jason and his team rode in silence, knowing they might not come back. They reached the station. Missiles fired. Fighters swarmed. Human ships drew fire while the Eclipse slipped inside. Jason led the charge. He and his team fought through guards, dodging bullets and cutting through metal. Alarms screamed, lights flashed red. They reached the core. One chance, one shot. Jason planted the charge, set the timer, then he stayed behind. "Go!" he shouted. "Get everyone out!" Elena tried to pull him with her, but he shook his head. "I'm not leaving until it counts." She ran. Behind her, Jason stood alone as the clock ticked down. When the explosion came, it lit up the sky. The weapon was gone. Jason was gone. Back on Earth, people watched the stars burn, and for the first time since the war began, the Iron Creed was silent, because now they knew. The humans didn't just fight, they bled for each other, and that made them unstoppable. The war was over. Not with a treaty, not with a handshake, but with fear, silence, and understanding. The Zevran Dominion declared Earth and its allies off limits. No ships, no spies, no questions. To go near human space was to risk everything. Captain Lena Hayes stood on the bridge of VSR Kalen, watching human ships patrol Dominion borders like quiet hunters. They didn't act like conquerors, they didn't ask for tribute, but they made one thing clear: cross us again, and you won't get a second chance. She looked at her report screen. The words were simple. They do not want control, they do not want war, but if you come for them, they will end you. Across the stars, other civilizations began to whisper. Stories passed between traders, scouts, and refugees. A new power had risen. One that didn't follow old rules. One that fought like storms and bled like gods. And somewhere, deep in Dominion space, Grand Marshal Kyle Virek sat alone in his office. He read the final reports from Earth. The weapon was gone. The Iron Creed was broken, and peace where real peace was possible. But he knew something else. The galaxy had changed. Humans were not just another species. They were something older, something wilder. They had survived hunger, ice, fire, and time. And now they ruled the sky. Back on Earth, Elena Cruz walked through a quiet garden. Flowers grew in rows. Sunlight touched the stone paths, and the wind was soft. She stopped at a small memorial wall. One name stood out: Jason Bell. She placed a white flower beside it. Behind her, the sky burned with starlight. Human starlight. In the distance, ships moved through orbit. Silent, fast, and always ready. Not because they wanted war, but because they never wanted to lose someone like Jason again. And across the stars, every empire, every king, and every army heard the message. Without needing words, humans were here, they were strong, and they would never back down.